Welcome everyone to Almost Cancelled. I'm Peter, that is Connor, and we are going to talk about Superman and Lois Season 1 Episode 6. It's called Broken Trust. So full spoilers for the episode as always, and it has been a good 6-week gap, I think, between episodes.
It's alright. It's felt like a while.
I was actually going to say the opposite. When I realised it was on this week, I was like, oh, that break's over already. I didn't feel like it had been that long yet. But
that's interesting. I didn't realize it was back until like this week. I was like, oh, that's back. I was like, it felt like it had been so long. I basically forgot it existed. I forgot it was ever coming back.
Yeah, and it does pick up. Like, you can tell this was never originally intended to have a big gap in the middle of the season. I think the previously on was very welcome in this particular episode, just to refresh my memory as to everything that was going down.
One of the rare times I actually watched it.
Because the episode picks up with Jordan running away from the Jitters kid, and Tag. There you go. So it legitimately just carries on from the previous scene, from the end of last episode. So it does just roll right on, and this episode kind of takes the themes that we've been playing with, goes a little bit further with them. I think the one thing that I can say is true, may always be true, and was certain, is that Kyle still sucks. And
he is a Kyle.
He's not actually in the episode that much, but there's a really concentrated dose of him for about 5 minutes early in the episode, where there's a scene where Edge is making a speech, and then the news is given to like him and Lana, and then there's a scene of them in the kitchen afterwards talking about it, and then there's a scene of them talking to Lois, and then there's a scene of them getting back from the dinner. There's like 4 scenes with Kyle like really close to each other, and I was like, oh my god, how much Kyle's in that. Luckily after that he kind of mostly drifted away from the episode, that it moved on, but there was a concentrated amount that I did not like.
Yeah, there's a lot of Kyle, and no one wants a lot of Kyle in their life.
No. So but no, I think what was my main thought coming out of this episode is, once again, well there are some TV cliches, and there are things like Kyle to bemoan. There's just all these little things in the actual drama that, where it surprises you every time you think it's going to do something that's not that interesting. It'll do a little surprising touch.
Every time you think it's going to be a CW show, it's like, oh, that was actually quite good.
Yeah, there's just little moments. I mean, because obviously this one all builds up to Jordan breaking Jonathan's hand, and it's done really well, because I think the actual moment it's good for multiple reasons. One, it's an example of Jonathan being there to look out for his brother, which is something that we've been playing with over and over again this season. 2, it's actually a very heroic thing he does, because he knows how hard he's going to punch.
Can you imagine if that connected with the kid's face?
Oh, he'd be dead. The kid would be dead.
Yeah. Because
if you break someone's skull, you can survive it, I suppose, but I don't fancy your future.
It's not going to be pleasant.
No, the kid would probably have died, which, if anything, like, they should maybe have addressed that more. Like, everyone was it was an accident, and we all know he didn't mean to do it. Well, yeah, but if he connected with the kid's face that he intended to hit, he would have died.
That was bugging me a little bit at the end of the episode. It's like, yeah, it was an accident you hit John. It wasn't an accident that you threw the punch.
No, because obviously early in the episode he gets a little bit of training with the punching the big log, which it's the exact same log Clark used when he was a teenager, and it's just still sitting there with about, I don't know, 18 fist marks in it.
I guess the problem is, what do you do with that evidence with all these fist marks in this huge log?
I guess my thought is that, well, if this is like something, this feels like he only did it one afternoon and never did it again, because there's not enough fist marks for it to be something that he was doing constantly for months or a whole summer or something. But it's still been kept under a sheet in the barn.
Do you think they do it like, how like parents get like, the first lock of hair that you cut off the baby and stuff like that, and it goes in like a little scrapbook? So this was like their version. It's like, oh, we'll keep the log from his first afternoon punching.
Have they ever addressed how Clark got his hair cut as a kid?
They haven't addressed how he got it cut as an adult.
I mean, it's an adult. Maybe in this Superman mythos, and a lot of them. I know not all of them are, because I distinctly remember Superman 4. The hair holding up the big weight in the museum before Lex steals it, but maybe the hair itself is not, immune. The hair's
just hair.
Yeah, the hair can still be cut as per usual. That's fine.
But can it burn? Is it fireproof?
It must be, given the bit of shit he gets into. So we have this scene where he's punching the log, and I actually thought it was legitimately funny when he builds up to that first punch, and he hits it and just goes, ow! And it's just like, it's just a regular person punching a tree. It'll hurt.
It's like, yeah, that's gonna hurt.
But then, of course, again, an example of Jonathan being there as his brother who's looking out for him. He's able to say the right things. He's able to touch the buttons that need to be touched in order to get him, to unleash a lot of anger.
Imagine this shitty kid's face.
Yeah.
Which actually really nice foreshadowing when you think about it.
Because
that's the same kid that he was going to punch at the end.
Yeah. Because the whole thing of this episode is that they're going to Metropolis because their team is playing the Metropolis high school team. So they're seeing a lot of... And we never met these kids, really. But...
Not at all, no.
They're going to confront the kids who used to make fun of Jordan, and that's going to be a big thing. And Jordan's determined he really wants this. And I suppose one thing we have to mention here is because Jordan has a few episodes in this episode where he has he sort of calls it a migraine, but it's quite clearly some super hearing kicking in, right?
I was under that assumption, yes, because it's triggered by loud noises. It seems like he's overreacting to them, right?
Particularly when Jonathan shuts the locker door, and he's like, "Oh, dude, why did you slam it?" And it's like, "I did." That's
and
gently.
then it's the school bell that really sets him off.
Yeah. So it's one of those things. I was kind of waiting for what I thought the episode was going to do eventually was that Clark would recognize the symptoms. He'd be like, "Oh, this is super hearing. You're hearing things and it's hurting."
But they kept the symptoms away from him enough that I buy that he hasn't figured it out yet.
Oh, for sure, it's not complete. I thought that's where the episode was going to go, and then obviously
I'm sure we're getting it soon though.
Yeah. Probably my favorite moment of the episode though might actually be the heat vision incident in the middle of the football game, where there's a big pile up, and they're all kind of piling up on Jordan, and Jonathan recognizes that this is not good. Clark recognizes, because obviously, if you've forgotten, I wouldn't blame you, but he's now assistant coach. Remember, Clark's at the games,
which is why he's there. Yeah.
Yes, and he recognizes this, and he goes over, and it's like, This is erupting. There's no way he's going to be able to hold this in. He claims later that he would have, but
he admits in the moment he's like, I can't hold this in.
And Clark's solution is just, all right, I'm going to put my hands in front of your eyes, let it out, do it. And I kind of like the detail here that this does hurt Clark. This is not something that he is immune from. Heat vision from another Kryptonian will pack a punch. He'll
definitely
feel it.
singe those hand hairs off a little bit.
Oh yeah, because the palm of her hands are all, we're all known for having hair there.
The heat probably extended around his hand. It wasn't just the inside. It's how heat works.
His hand's not a metal pot. It's just not spreading the heat in the same way.
I'm not saying it goes through the hand. I'm saying it goes around the hand.
Oh, okay. All right. Well, we've not established if his hair's fireproof or not.
No, we haven't.
So that's a good point. So I really like this. Yeah, I thought it was kind of the money moment outside of the ending, of course, with the punch.
That is a great moment. I think my favorite moment is actually it's a Superman moment, but also relating to heat vision in a sense. It's the restraint / lack thereof in this scenario. That's the parallel scene to that we have.
Yeah,
with Clark.
Yeah, because obviously when the punch happens, it's intercutting with what's going on with Superman. Superman's looking for Tag. Sam Lane's like, we just need to kill this kid because he's dangerous, and Superman's like, no, we're not going to kill the scared teenager. And this is the thing: the start of the episode, Superman has to come and save Jordan because Tag's attacking him, but he's still empathetic. He's still like, no, this kid's scared. He doesn't know what's happening. He's acting irrationally. Tag kidnaps Sarah and takes her to Metropolis, and Superman shows up, and we have this sort of standoff where Sam Lane he's getting skeptical enough about Superman that he's arming his soldiers with kryptonite guns. That's a big deal plot wise, but Clark gets shot with the kryptonite, And he has this moment where he rips it out, and he does kind of lose his temper for a moment, and he has to kind of like restrain himself a little bit.
It's the moment for me where he's still got like the eyes flared up, and he like super speeds over to the soldier that shot him and just stands right in front of them and is like, "Stand down right now." And it's just, I don't know. There's like even though it comes back to the conversation that happens after this, with there's trust, and we trust Superman not to lose his shit and heat vision these soldiers, but there's still that moment where these soldiers have got to be terrified of him right now, even if they trust him. Surely,
it's a dangerous thing for any Superman story to play with. I think is a scene like this, because it could be very easily, if handled just slightly incorrectly, feel like the writers aren't understanding Superman.
And I think that's why I do like it so much, because it doesn't feel like Superman's threatening them, which could easily feel like.
No, he's definitely more stern than we've ever heard him in the show. Like there's no doubt about that.
The heat vision, building up. It's a lack of control rather than he's threatening to laser them there and then. Yeah.
He this is a physical reaction to the pain that
Yes.
It's not something. But this is the equivalent of us yelling an F-bomb when we stub our toe.
Yeah, it's not him holding the loaded gun to their faces and then going, "Stand down."
But obviously, it's very relevant to the episode, and the idea that even he still has to fight the natural. And it's not like there's anything wrong with it. We all have natural instincts. The only difference is that our natural instincts, and by us I mean the rest of the human race, they're not as volatile.
Lethal.
Yeah, they're not lethal to everyone else around us if we do stub our toe and yell an F word, or if we whatever it may be. We have to go hit a punching bag for 10 minutes to let our rage out, whatever it is.
Even to go with Jordan's actual thing, of punching the kid in the face, most people, like, if they do lose control and give in to that instinct, yes, it's not good, but they're probably not going to kill someone if they do it. It's not nice. It's unpleasant. It's going to hurt, and maybe there will be consequences for sure. But death is unlikely. Whereas in this scenario, you lose control and a punch like that. Yeah, you might be killing someone.
Yeah, lessons will be learned. Whatever. But we have this character who. It's just that thing where there's moments, because the big ending of the episode is that he kind of has essentially a seizure. And Superman flies him to the fortress. That's kind of the cliffhanger.
It's interesting. It looks like it's like flaring through his head, like him holding it in. Perhaps it seems like it's like a feedback loop.
Yeah, it's almost like he has to learn to discharge it, because it's not like Superman has to discharge it frequently. Like Superman, as far as in most representations, as far as I know, I've never heard of one where he has to make sure he gets X amount of heat vision out per week, otherwise he's going to erupt.
No, I've never heard of that. You could always tell us there's a possibility that he just uses it on a regular enough basis that he never hits that point. If you so wanted to write that into the show, I wouldn't be mad at that decision. But it's definitely not something I've ever heard of before.
Yeah, I mean, obviously there was the supernova or solar bomb, whatever that power the dad did in the New 52, which was essentially a heat fission
explosion. It was like an
explosion.
Intentional overload, though, right? Rather than
it wasn't an accidental
discharge.
build up. Yeah. So I mean, it makes some sense if the solar energy he's bringing in, that's
his
what
body just can't harness it all.
Or even just for Superman, like it would make some sense logically if you did argue, you're absorbing all this solar energy, the heat vision's you discharging it, so theoretically, yes, like you should have to discharge it once in a while.
I mean, I think maybe we're focusing a little bit too much on the heat vision element of it, but maybe the core concept we're kind of onto something with. Your body stores up so much and it has to go somewhere, and just using your powers beyond normal human limits kind of uses up that energy. Because Jordan doesn't have any other powers, seemingly, as of right now, to use that energy up, it's only got heat vision. Because he's not using the heat... Well, I mean, he's using a bit of strength, really, but not enough. Yeah,
whereas Superman's constantly flying, he's constantly picking up big things, whatever.
Yeah, so maybe because he's using so much on a regular basis, it's fine, whereas with Jordan here, it's like, no, it's building up. It's not being used enough at a high enough level so his body can't handle it, especially with him being, half human as well.
Yeah, and it's the thing about this punch as well is that Jordan, like the impact, of course, of it being his brother's hand that he's shattered effectively, is a big deal, but it also literally does, because this is the thing. This episode, Jonathan finally is allowed to play football again as a quarterback because the quarterback gets hurt or whatever. And he's like, put me in, coach. I'm here. I'm ready. I know the plays. I used to play in that goddamn team. Let me go out there. And he finally gives in. And he seems to be doing all right. He seems to be going well. There's no like plot thread where, he's kind of underperforming or he's nervous. He's good at this. He knows what he's doing, right? Yeah. So he's just starting to get that back. The one thing that he felt he could get back from his old life. And the doctor,
it seems like he'll probably never play again.
Yeah, the doctor said, there's a chance you might get full function back of your hand, but it might be a little off. It might be lacking a little bit.
Even if it comes back, that it's likely that you'll probably not play football because that might aggravate and make it worse, and injure it again. So yeah, sucks. Really does for him. Which
I think poetically is the idea that Jonathan's one superpower was being a good football player, and it's been taken away from him. Just as Jordan's getting superpowers, and I can only imagine they're going to expand as time goes on.
Yeah, I would assume so.
Yeah, and I expect Jonathan to get them eventually as well. I mean, they're going to do the moment. They're going to do some sort of big moment where he catches something or something. Like he's going to save someone.
I would love for them to have the willpower to never do it. In a lot of ways, I think that would be, for me, is more interesting. But I am just kind of resigned to the fact that it's going to happen, so I'm not going to complain when it does.
I think it'll probably happen, and I'm sure there'll be explanations as to why one triggered early. I mean, the easy answer is Jordan's mental health issues are what trigger his powers early. That's it. So that's that easy.
Yeah, they could even tell us it's something to do with the XK.
Yeah. The X kryptonite, which we get a name for this because we just looked at it last time and said, it's a different color of kryptonite. It's whatever. But Lois is investigating that stuff, and of course Lex Luthor from the other dimension. What was it, Marcus? I think he was going by.
Marcus Bridgewater, I believe, was the name he was using.
And he, because this story, we can get in because Lois does go to Lana and Kyle, because Lana's just been offered this big job with a salary and all the rest of it.
Basically becoming Kyle's boss.
Yeah, which Kyle is very
not
upset
happy about.
Yeah. Yes. And they turn her down. Obviously, Kyle's a dick and's like, no, I should report you to Morgan Edge for even suggesting that we help you.
Get a restraining order, I believe.
Yeah.
Be threatened.
And Lana's obviously nicer about it, but ultimately, hey, I just got offered this big job. I'm not going to start my tenure by, engaging in some espionage. So,
don't want to upset the apple cart now, do we?
So, but then of course Lex shows up and he's got these IDs. He's ready to go. Let's sneak in there and find out. And of course there's a lot of warning signs and red flags for Lois, I think, on this little journey with this strange man who's taking her into a cave. But the big one being that when Morgan Edge's henchwoman, who has superpowers, attacks them, he has a weapon that knocks her down, as if it's
like one blast.
Yeah, as if it's he knows what he's doing. He's prepared for this.
And he's got a super fancy mining laser.
Yes. Yeah, he's got all this tech. His forged badges are really good. She's like, and I do kind of love the realism of she's questioning this. She knows this is all bullshit, and just as she's about to really start asking the question is when she gets a phone call saying her son's hurt, and it's like, well, it doesn't matter what this is now. I'm going to go deal with my son who is. I
love that she has to be continued at him as she's running off to the car.
So it didn't feel, and because we'd spent all the episode, and because we'd already known for several minutes that Jonathan had been injured now, and that he was going to the hospital.
It was just a matter of waiting till Lois found out.
So it didn't feel like a cheap moment. It didn't feel, whatever. So also Lois casually saying to Clark after, maybe a good time to tell you that that I almost died tonight. This shady character.
My favorite moment of this was where she goes, "Oh yeah, was that Leslie Law? She's got powers too." And he just puts his hands down on the table and says, "Oh, God's sake, not another one." He just has this slap reaction.
Yeah, he just puts his head down like, oh my God, what the hell's going on? There's too many things.
Yeah. It was just that it's not like a big beat. They don't linger on it. It's still in the wide shot. Just a great little bit of physical acting.
Yeah, it was just a little performance thing. I noticed that too. It was a good little beat. So that's obviously going on. It's fine. It's fine stuff. There's nothing wrong with it, certainly. Obviously, it's the Kyle stuff that's a bit more tedious to get through. I think, and I said this like last episode, or maybe the one before the last one, whatever episode it was, where he was drunk in the couch and Sarah like sort of, and like we learned so much about this family and their relationship based on just how she talked to him in that scene. And again, like I think Sarah, a little bit of character building. You know, I mean, obviously, it's very on the surface level. She gives up she wanted to go to the game and support Jordan, but she says, hey, I'll stay home and babysit the brat, and you and Dad can sort of reconnect. But I think actually watching the scene and just watching her make that choice, and it's a fairly selfless thing for a teenager to do. Most teenagers would not make this sacrifice to try and save their parents' marriage, especially when her opinion of her own father's probably not that high.
I don't think you need to say probably. She kind of outright says it.
But she's willing to do this for Lana, and I think, you know, between this and then Lana sort of, obviously once her daughter's been kidnapped by someone with superpowers and then returned by Superman, she's a little bit freaked out and goes to Lois and says, hey, is this to do with this Morgan Edge investigation that you're doing? And she's like, yep, at least 2 people connected to him have got superpowers now, and one of them, in fact 2 of them have tried to kill me, so yes, shady stuff. So she agrees to help Lois, but does not tell Kyle.
I like the irony as well, like, because Lois came to them looking for help to get into the mine, and she's already done that now.
Yes.
Like, Lana's essentially too late for that part of the plan. So now it'll be just an ongoing thing.
Which, I didn't even notice that, but you're right. I think that makes it... It wouldn't have been like a completely unsatisfying thing. If the episode had been framed, she goes to Lana for help, Lana turns it down, and then that's it. The Lois doesn't have a subplot from that point on. Now it's just about the other characters. And at the end of the episode, because of what happens to Sarah, Lana does a 180 and comes back and says, you know what, I'm going to help you. And then we do the main plot next episode. That wouldn't have been frustrating. It wouldn't have felt cheap. It would have been a fine way to do things. But there is something a little inherently more satisfying, I think, by her having a solution that feeds into another plot, and then having Lana wanting to help just further investigation anyway. It feels a bit more diverse, I guess, a bit more moving parts.
It gives both characters a bit more agency in that Lois, it's not that I can't even say she didn't have a backup plan, because she was working on a backup plan when Lex showed up with the passes, because she was on the phone trying to get press passes herself to get in. Like she was working on something, so she clearly had plans. But you know, the fact that, okay, this didn't work with Lana and Kyle, I'll move on to something else. So that gives her agency. She's not like just sitting around waiting. She's trying something else. And then for Lana, it's like, okay, so well, now she's going to be helping in an ongoing capacity. So again, it does. It's better for both of these rather than it being just this one event.
Yeah. So good. I mean, it's not. I don't want to overpraise it, because ultimately it's. Oh, hold on. I've got an alarm going off. I don't want to
what that is.
I don't want to overpraise it, because ultimately it's just you know, she says no, thing happens to her daughter, she changes her mind, right? It's simple, you know, tent. It's not an arc, it's just a tent, it's just a point, and then it, you know, changes, pivots because of one singular event. It's simple TV writing, but at the very least here, there's more to it than most TV shows will do with this kind of decision, because it has a bit of a different meaning, because it isn't just, I'll help you with this one thing you wanted to do. Now I have a vested interest, because whatever he's up to almost hurt my daughter, and that means I actually have a stake in this now. I am motivated. I can't just, you know, turn a blind eye. Especially since, you know, because everyone in Smallville right now is so ready to just think, oh, Lois is being crazy, as if she's not someone who has exposed other, you know, conspiracies.
As if she's not done this countless times before.
Yeah, as if, you know, they shouldn't trust their expertise. You know, and I get their perspective, you know, because, you know, again, keeping Kyle out of it, but when Lana sort of calmly says, look, you weren't here so many people have been down in the dumps, they've been losing their jobs, everyone's struggling, the town is kind of in the worst place I've ever seen it. And she's lived through it all. She's seen it all, because she's been...
It's kind of a little bit greater good, something where they all know that, sure, he's got ulterior motives, sure, he's probably terrible, sure, something's probably shitty going on, but he's keeping us all employed, so we're going to just turn a blind eye to it.
Yeah, and, just even if he does have an ulterior motive, it doesn't necessarily mean it's something that's going to leave us all screwed when he decides to move on. Like, it still might revitalise things enough that the town can survive after.
Like,
yeah.
A lot of them are, the ones that even believe Lois that there's something else going on might see it as win-win. Like, well, we still get our jobs. He gets what he wants. I can see them thinking that in a very, not literally having that opinion, but more just that kind of being the subconscious attitude.
Yeah. So, yeah. So I mean, credit where credit's due. Even the plot that's probably the most frustrating, because it's Kyle's upset because he wanted the big gig and his wife's got it instead. And obviously there's the added love triangle part of it as well, because Morgan Edge is clearly into her, and that's part of it as well. Even if it's never going to be on the upfront, there is the subtext. Like, he was clearly flirtatious before.
It will be on the upfront at some point.
It probably will be. And maybe that's what will finally make Kyle flip out on Morgan Edge and, make him throw a punch or something like that. He'll end up inadvertently saving the day out of a jealous rage. I don't know. It wouldn't shock. Maybe it'll save their marriage because he's willing to fight for her.
Who knows?
Yeah. It's really hard to be invested in. It's really hard
to want the marriage to be saved, to be quite honest with you.
Yeah.
Because it feels very unhealthy.
I kind of hope they pull a Whitney/Eddie and he's a one-season thing that's dead at the end of the season.
I feel like the right decision should be for Lana to go, at some point, be like, no, you're not good for me. It would be better if you weren't here.
I mean, I think effectively I'd still compare it to those two characters, but yes, it'd be a boot instead of a death.
I'm more specifically kind of, in this case, in those characters, it's them leaving of their own volition, whereas this here I'm saying, Lana making the proactive choice.
Yeah. But the result still being that he leaves, that's the important part.
Yeah. That is the part that I care about.
That's the very important part.
Yeah.
But at the same time, though, he's tied to several main characters because he's got his wife, his daughter, who are both main characters.
Yeah.
It's entirely possible. There's reasons for him to stick around beyond just Lana as well. Like, even if it's just to be in Sarah's life, even if it's just to be a part of the town and be like the...
It's the sort of thing, though, where he would be in significantly less, and maybe I wouldn't mind it as much.
Maybe if it wasn't just every scene's about him being pissy about Morgan Edge being the saviour of the town and hating Lois.
That'd be nice.
That would be a start. That's the biggest problem with him. But hey, as far as anything else goes, I mean, there's a couple of Superman action scenes, where he's chasing Tag and he has to save the train. Obviously, it's very CG.
Very video game.
Yeah, very video gamey. I mean, it's a fun moment. I mean, the actual concept of what's happening is enjoyable. It's just,
I'm down for it.
Yeah. Obviously, just looks less than real, shall we say?
Very kind of you.
Less than real. That's all.
Yeah.
But that was pretty much it. That was pretty much the episode. I'll just add on, just to go back to the teens for a split second here, just at the end. Just, some of the chemistry. I like the debate between them where Jonathan says, you need to tell Dad that you've had these episodes, and it's not until after the thing at the game with the heat vision there Jordan lies and says he's had nothing, and Jonathan just sort of speaks up and says, you know what, no, he needs to know.
He let it slide before when this was controllable. He's like, we can deal with some shit ourselves, but this has gone too far now.
I also appreciate that Jordan didn't get pissed at him for it afterwards. He kind of just understood. He's not a complete idiot teenager.
Again, it's something I think really works well with the context of what happens after as well. Because I say, it's like, I think John's like, oh, you're mad at me. And he's like, not really. Yeah, he probably was in the moment, but not in the long term. And I think that will likely reflect John's attitude, where at the moment where he's left, yes, of course he's mad at him. He's just broken his hand. In the long term, I suspect he'll come to forgive him. Things will be all right again eventually. Yeah,
but it is important that, obviously he would feel guilty after the hand thing, but he does say that he's not mad before that as well. It's already done. he's mad, maybe, yeah, like you say, in the moment when he yells at him in the actual scene, but it's like, what, in their timeline 10 minutes later when he's like, are you mad at me? Nah, not really. Like,
Yeah.
And part of that's maybe because he is mature enough to understand why he did it, and in some level knows that he's right.
Yeah, he definitely does.
Yeah.
And he probably appreciates at least that he didn't tell him before the game.
Yeah.
Because he had a chance, and he definitely made a dig. It was when they were doing the log. He's like, yeah, I wouldn't want you to have any crazy episodes.
Yeah.
And Clark's like, yeah, no, wouldn't want that.
Yeah. Yes. Oh, yeah, but Clark says it very sincerely. He doesn't know that there's coding going on, which is what makes it work. It's what makes it funny.
Yeah.
So, yeah. But yeah, most a good episode. I mean, I think the show has proven to be quite capable.
I've slipped back into, really enjoying it.
Yeah. We still got 9 episodes left, so which is the majority of the season, bizarrely. So,
it is.
We'll see what they do with it over the summer. It should be fun times. And then around the time that this wraps up, either slightly overlapping or just after, Stargirl kicks off. So, season 2,
it does.
which we also
as well.
Yeah, we enjoyed season 1. So hopefully the CW move. Well, it's not really a move because it was on CW before as well, but you know what I mean. Like the move to just being CW. Hopefully that doesn't ruin it. Yeah. But
It says a lot that we both went to ruin rather than.
Hey, to be fair, this show has given me more hope than I had before.
I think we said that in the first few episodes as well.
I don't remember what we said in the first few episodes.
I've got vague recollections of us saying it's made us more confident in Stargirl because it's like, hey, they can actually do things that are half decent, seemingly.
There was a moment in the first 5 seconds where I went, oh yeah, this isn't 2, 3, 5 to 1. I'd forgotten they went like proper movie scope widescreen with
I did the same. Yeah, I did the exact same. It's been so long.
Yeah. Although I will say, this is the minorest of nitpicks, but the opening credits at the bottom of the screen, they literally have them touching the bottom of the actual image, right? They're not using the traditional, you have a bit of a gap, so it looks like a nice little, indent.
Jarring, yeah.
It's just a bit jarring, and I think the logic is because they're broadcasting a letterbox. Well, technically, it's even higher than it usually is because of the black bars, but it actually looks wrong touching the black bars like that. And I'm not saying, like, I know some people like the idea of having subtitles in the black bars if they've got subtitles. I'm like, no. I hate when they cross over at the subtitle into the black bars.
No, it doesn't bother me.
No, on the image, because putting them out of the image just takes your eye out of the image. Like, you want them in the image. But anyway,
I get where you're coming from, but I read it in my peripheral anyway, and the black is in my peripheral regardless. So.
Now I feel like yourself get sucked out of the story. That's what I'm saying. So I always appreciate it. The good Blu-rays out there that have the subtitles formatted as if you were watching just the image of the movie. And some people do, because some people do masking on projectors, and if they watch a foreign film where the subtitles are in the black bars, and all of a sudden their entire setup falls apart because they've done it in a stupid way. They should have
accommodated for that then, shouldn't they?
No, they shouldn't. They should put subtitles in properly. Is it so much to ask the major companies that, make billions of dollars and are meant to be the utmost professionals actually do it properly? What a shocking statement to make.
I will defend that it can be easier to read them even in the black, and you're like, oh, you're taking my eyes away from the image. It can be easier to read at a glance in my peripheral because it's just white on black at all times. It's consistent. It's there. There's never anything behind it that can distract my eyes. So, and I don't mean distract in the sense that, I'm looking at the image instead of the words now, but more just because they're there, they're easy and clean to read. It can actually make me be more invested in the movie and the image and watch it easier because the subtitles are so easy to read.
No, the black's dead space. There shouldn't be anything there. All it's doing is drawing my attention to the fact that there's bars, and that shouldn't be doing that. So, there you go. Once again, Connor is wrong about something, but that's okay. You're all used to it.
I'll be the judge of that.
So you don't get to be the judge if you're wrong about something. That's literally the last thing you get to be the judge about. Let us know in the comments what you thought of episode 6 of Superman and Lois. Like and subscribe. Super important that you do that because YouTube dictates success based on likes and subscribes and dinging the bell and all that stuff. You can also support us financially over at patreon.com/MailFuzzTV for as little as $1 per month and get some bonuses for your trouble. So go and have a look-see, see if you want to help keep all the content coming. Otherwise, catch us on the Twitters at mailed_fuzz for channel updates. But that is us, so thank you once again for watching or listening. We always appreciate it. Keep watching TV. Have you got any vanilla?